the city today?
So the simple answer is going to be money. And how do we get it? We have projects that we currently are working on. We have projects that are queued up. A lot of our funding is dependent upon other agencies. And a lot of times we get delayed with funding because personnel change in those other agencies, and we have to wait and basically start our process over whenever a new person comes in. But mitigating that and keeping better track of what we have and providing a tighter schedule and end dates or forecast dates when these projects are going to be completed or when we're going to receive that funds, I think, is the biggest challenge that we have, is putting optics on what needs to be done and working it in a timely fashion.
I've been going to city council meetings since last summer, and I see some of the exact same things on the agenda 2 years ago that are on the agenda right now. So in my opinion, one of the biggest struggles we have is administration and ability to get things done. Simple things I've seen on the agenda for a really long time. I won't name them all, but I think administration is the biggest one. I think there are some really great staff, but there needs to be some changes. I know the financial aspect is really difficult in a town our size. However, that doesn't mean small projects shouldn't be getting done. So that's my answer.
Some of the biggest challenges
Introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Bobby Whitney. I have actually lived here since 1972. So I actually went to school at the WAC when I was in kindergarten and first grade, so it's always interesting to walk into the building. And I've raised children here already, and I'm still raising children. So some of the biggest challenges that I see is the same as Kevin, is money being an issue, and then also more living wages for families. I think that's an issue in trying to bring in businesses that are important to our community to help it build, to help it grow, and help it flourish. I remember what it was like when we had 2 log mills here, between here and Oakridge, and it was different. The climate was different, the community was different, the support within the community was different. So I think that would certainly help. I think a lot of the inner politics within our city is one of the challenges right now. We see a lot of different partners within our agency fighting with each other, and I would like to see people come together and work together to help foster a healthy community and to make it better for all of us here. I think those are pretty much the biggest situations that I see that are challenges for our community right now. Thank you.
My name is Larry Sweet. I moved here in 2002. I'm a 20-year retired veteran, worked in the mill in Eugene, Springfield area after that. One of our biggest challenges here is money. And one of our other challenges I feel is a major problem is going to be our water system and affordability for our residents. Our infrastructure here needs some major upgrades, especially down in Willamette City. We've been dealing with a lot of our streets down there, which have no stormwater drainage. This is something that needs to be addressed, and that's part of our infrastructure down there. We need to bring in another type of industry here of some sort. The reason I'm saying that is because living wage jobs up here are very few and far between. In order to support a city our size, we need to have that type of industry here to support it. Otherwise, we're going to go down, keep going the same road that we are now. We're not able to have the money to do things to move forward. And that's one of the concerns that I have there. That's what I'd like to work towards. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's a really good question. And I'm not sure. Huh?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. My name's Gary Carl. And make sure I'm who I think I am. I'm a retired attorney and worked here in Oakridge as the Justice Court judge for a number of years, and then still with Lane County, was transferred to Springfield, and I retired in 2012. Linda, my partner, and I own and operate a bed and breakfast, Oakridge Lodging Guest House, and I also own and operate a Cedar Creek Cafe and Barbecue. And I'm not sure that qualifies me to be on the council, but it takes a lot of time. So back to the question. It's a really good question. It's a very difficult question because there is, in my opinion, there is no one thing that needs to be improved. But overarching, I think we need better administration and better efficiency in our city government. And however you want to examine the city government, I think the changes need to occur there first. But then, in addition, or subset to that, I think we need housing. We need to look at housing because as companies want to come here, they have to have a reasonable housing for their employees. And if they don't, if there isn't housing, affordable housing for employees, they're not going to be able to establish themselves here. So all these other things really flow from that. And I believe we're really at the point on the verge of starting to bring businesses to our town. And in order to attract more, or to keep the ones that want to come here, we're going to have housing. So there's different levels of housing. There's affordable housing. There's housing for workers, and there's housing for upper income people. So there's 3 different types of housing, and
30 seconds.
And we really need to focus on all of them. Thank you.
I'm Don Hadley, and I've lived here for 20-something years. I have a business here in town. And what I see the town doing, we went through the Zimmerman years, and which we were in debt. And I look at our town now, and it really confuses me because I stepped back for about 6 years, and they appointed Louis Gomez as the city administrator. I don't think he should have had the job. I never thought he had it. Should have had it when he got here. And I've seen the town just go backwards. I mean, I have a business right over here, and number one, the marijuana is going to be one of the greatest things in the town to bring an industry in here. And I've seen it fail. There's no reason for that. When I have a shop right next door to this church, and every day it smells marijuana, I don't want to live here anymore. And so I'm going to spend 4 years of my life trying to help this town. I've been here a long time, and we really need big changes. And everybody that talks about what we need, all the people of the community is what we need. We need people to get involved. People are not involved. It's pretty disgusting to me to see a handful of people in here, and all of these people are running for these positions. And if you look at our council that we have right now, what we've had, if you guys like that, I'm very discouraged. I'm very discouraged. I don't know if I can do anything, but I'm going to tell you, I will work as hard as I can for the citizens of Oakridge. It's not about me, it's for you people. And so whatever I can do, I will do my best to do it. It isn't jobs, it's just in this community, because I've watched it. For 20-something years, not any kids in this school system has ever come to my shop and said, would you be interested in learning something? I'm willing to teach them. It hasn't come. The college approached me to do something. And to me, nothing's been done. Our town has not moved. Look at it for 20 years. So thank you for your time.
Well, for those of you who don't know, my name is James Affa, and I've been here about 10 years now. And almost from the day I walked in, I've been involved in the city budget. And the mess that we had with Zimmerman and how we pilfered and ran through $4.2 million we had in savings. And just the council never knew that money was there. And we spent 1.5 years trying to figure out how this man could put a budget up when we just didn't have the income. So we could never figure out how we were staying within our limits. So I think one of the first and foremost things we need to do is live within our needs. So I will echo my compatriots down here. Money is a prime issue. there are ways we can generate that money through other businesses, and that we need to create other revenue streams. I have finally, for 10 years, have been told the city could not own a business. I finally got an answer from the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. The city can own, start, and have a business and partner with people. We have lost out on several good industries that we could have partnered with, that we could have made money with. So I think those things need to be, looked at and looked at hard. Everybody's water bill goes up. That water bill goes up because we're tied to the Portland CPI. The Portland CPI is tied to the New York City CPI, which is the cost of living in New York City. I don't live in New York City, do you? I don't live in Portland, do you? I live here. The cost of producing water hasn't risen but a little minor bit here. But everybody's water bill went up almost 5%, 4.1 was it, Jim? Something like that. And it's gonna go up next year again.
30 seconds.
So I'd like to see us get better control, try to live within our means, and we can get grants, but we still have to learn how to live within our means and do our projects that way. Thank you. Okay, Kathy, you're up.
I thought it would be easier to be at the beginning than the end, but it's worse back here. I'm Kathy Holston. You'll see me listed as Kathy Nichols Holston, just to confuse the issue. I've lived here for 4 years. I'm a sitting counselor. I've been a counselor for 2 years. I was appointed to fill an empty position and then was elected. I'm now running for mayor. I really love Oakridge a whole lot, just like we all do. And I think the first thing that we need to do is start out with the bottom line. And the bottom line is we're here because we want to be here, because we love it, and we want something better for our community. I echo everyone, because we have all these little pieces circling around. We are at a point where we are ready to roll forward, but we have these spokes, and we know we need more money, and we know that we need better infrastructure, and we know that we need to have more involvement from our community. And we know that we need better housing, but what we are missing is the ability to move forward because of the lack of leadership. We need leadership, someone who is willing to take all those pieces, put them into the wheel, and start moving. We are always going to disagree about what might be the best thing or what is the first step, but we can always disagree, or we can always agree that we need to take a step. And I think if we take a step back, remind ourselves of why we're here, that we want the best for our community, and are willing to compromise with one another, we will see great things happen in the next 4 years. I agree, we are on the cusp of something pretty wonderful happening. We are starting to get interest from outside business that is coming here. We have small entrepreneurs that are coming here wanting to establish small businesses. We have community members that are going, hey, I haven't maybe said anything about what I feel, and now is the time to do it. I want to facilitate those voices. I want to be that person that helps you bring it all together and moves the wheel forward.
My name is Stephen Ball, and I've served as the police officer with the Oakridge Police Department. I was hired in July of 2000. I've been here since then, except for 1 year when I took a sabbatical. I've been the sergeant, the lieutenant, and the emergency response team commander for the police department. I've been retired since 2014. When I retired, I was just kind of relaxing, and I saw that Oakridge is going through a crisis of what Councilor Holston and what Councilor Carl said was a counselor of lack of leadership, or a crisis of leadership. We need a reorganization of leadership, fiduciary responsibility, a city employees that work, that answer calls. If you're a member of the fire department or the police department, you go on calls. Okay, you don't get paid to be a boss. We are too small a town to be having just bosses. Okay, you go to a call, you answer a call, and that's our problem. Is we need to stay within our means, like Councilor Abbott said. We need to look at our fiduciary problems with our water. We need to look at how we spend our money. A $9 million budget for a town this size is ridiculous. We need to look at that, and we need to reevaluate how we're spending money. And I think that that's our biggest issue. Thank you.
Okay, next question. How do you vision the unification of our community, collaboratively speaking? No, oh yeah, never mind.